up, guys? Scott the dog dad here. The boys are very angrily watching me do meal prep tonight. But I wanted to do a really quick video. It's going to be a little bit awkward because I'm going to have to do everything that I'm going to show you with one hand that I normally obviously do with two. So this is meal prepping and how simple it can be. One of the problems that I see a lot with people getting switched over to raw feeding is they don't, because they think that it's going to be a lot of time every day, and it doesn't need to be if you are willing to do some prep work. So what I do to make sure that I can get things weighed out is I have a scale. This is a really cheap scale. It's E-Tech City, and they're like $11 online, and we've had this for a year and a half, something like that, and we've had to replace the battery one time, and other than that it's been perfect. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. Let's get a plate. Well, this I use in a different stuff, which I'll go over in a second. But what I've basically done is I've gotten all of my stuff ready. So I have my liver and other organs, some additional sweetbread. I'll be making more, but I can only put so much in here at a time. So I've got my liver and sweetbread, both beef. And so there's my organs, obviously, and I got some more over here. This is my meat content, and in here is a bunch of different beef and some pork. And then in here, I've got my bone content, my meaty bones, which is some pork ribs underneath all these turkey wings, and then turkey wings. So what I do is ahead of time, very first of all, I will go through and I will separate the sweetbread or whatever the other non-liver organ is and the liver. I'll weigh out exactly how much it's supposed to be, and I'll put them into sections. Then what I'll normally do is I'll, on a separate counter, have several of these containers all lined up in a row, and I'll just doom, 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 put them all in, so I don't have to think about that anymore. Then what I do is, before I get started, I know what kind of meaty bone sources that I'm going to be using, and then I look up, if I don't already know off the top of my head, what the bone content. And for both turkey wings and pork ribs, the bone content is approximately, it's never going to be exact, and don't stress the exact part, is approximately 30 to 33-ish%. So about a third. So if we get 9 ounces of this meaty bone content, then we know that 3 ounces approximately of that is going to be bone, and I'm only using these exact numbers because that's what I use in my particular case. So if I get this at about 9 ounces, then 3 ounces of it is going to be bone, and there's going to be 6 ounces of meat. So what I'll do is I'll have my little calculations here of meat, bone, liver, and organ, and I will take that 6 ounces of meat that is in the turkey wing and the pork ribs and take it away from the total meat ounces content that I have to provide. So in this case, what I'm going to do is have approximately 3 ounces of bone and 6 ounces of meat here, which means that I will add an additional 14 ounces approximately of meat to this container. So now that I've talked forever, I'm going to show you what it is that I do. I'm going to remove this plate. It's not what I need right now. What I'm going to do is take one of these little bundles here. So this again is my liver and my sweetbread, and I'm just going to place it into the container. That's it, because I've already weighed it out, so I already know how much is there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my scale on. Okay, put it on, and I could have had it on there beforehand. And push it again to zero it out. Now I'm going to look at this guy here, and I get approximately 12 ounces, almost 13. So instead of doing 14 ounces of additional meat, what I'm actually going to do is only do 10. That way I end up with my proper number. So as long as you can just do some really quick, super simple, on-the-fly math, this doesn't have to be complicated. Weigh out your organs ahead of time. Know what the bone approximately content is of your meaty bone sources, and then add your meats. Now you're thinking, this is about 12, 13 ounces, so that's really going to be about 4 ounces of bone, which isn't a big deal. I stress to people all the time that you shouldn't focus and get super crazy obsessed on exact specifics. If in this particular meal, Vulcan has 4 ounces of bone instead of 3, it's not going to, the world isn't going to end. He's not going to have super dry white poops over one occurrence. Like, it's not going to happen. You don't need to obsess over these specifics. So now what I'm going to do again is zero it out. All right. We'll go ahead and we'll add some pork in here. We want, that's too much. This is hard to do it with one hand. Okay, let's see here. Again, I could, if this was a different situation, I had 2 hands, then I could just cut a portion off of what I put in until I got exactly what I was looking for. But because I've got 1 hand, that's a little bit difficult. So that's 10.9 ounces. So it's 11. Again, it's not a huge deal. It's approximately what I'm looking for here. So, later on when I actually go to feed it to them, I'll give them some coconut oil to go in here. But this is the deal. This is the meal. Sorry about that. What I've done again is ahead of time when I start, I weigh out my organs, the liver and my non-liver organs. Then I look up the bone content approximately for the meaty bone sources that I'm going to be using. In this case, it's turkey wings and pork ribs. And add the liver and non-liver organ into the container, because I already know how much it weighs. Then I'm going to add in my meaty bone content and do the math really quickly on the fly, it doesn't have to be exact, of the approximate amount of bone and meat that is going into the meal, and then add what is left over with my meat sources. So it's really only a couple of steps. Weigh out your organs, look up your bone content, weigh your bone content, minus from the amount of meat that you're going to provide, which in my case was 14 ounces, but I needed to do some adjusting, and that's it. Add in your meat and you're good. So it doesn't have to be a super complicated affair. And because I take, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if I'm trying to take the time to film a video like I am today, getting all of this done, and then throughout the rest of the week, well, in this case it's going to be a couple weeks, all I have to do is pull the containers out of the freezer to defrost and feed it. And it's done, it's game over, that's it. So I hope that this helps. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to spend a ton of time every single day trying to make this happen. Just take one day every couple of weeks, gather some meats together, get your liver, get your non-liver organ, get your bone sources, get your meat, and do a bunch of this all at once. Do 2 weeks, do 3 weeks. If you've got the freezer space, do 4 weeks. And just be done with it and not have to think about it for the rest of the week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. All right, guys, I hope this helps. Don't want to make this too long. This is Scott, the dog dad. And remember that you don't need to be perfect to be an amazing dog owner. You just need to do your best every single day and try to improve as you go forward. Now I'm going to get finished so that Vulcan and Horace don't kill me, because I have all this meat that I'm not giving to them. All right, guys, take care.